So, in this segment of our Raising Rabbits series, we're going to be discussing just some general how to handle the rabbits, things that you need to make sure you do in the general care of a rabbit.
And then a little bit on some selection of good qualities in a meat rabbit, like I guess more the physical, but
yeah, show some key features to look for and that sort of thing.
Just kind of an explanation of how I guess we do it. This is kind of a few little bits and pieces that don't really fit nicely anywhere
into
else.
Any other category.
So we're just kind of mushing them all together into this one video.
So one rule that I follow, no matter how friendly I think my bunnies are, I always cover my arms and put on my gloves. I always put long sleeves, preferably a sweater, and my good gloves on. And once the bunny's sitting on top, you're fine, but I always the pickup is where the bunny can get a little bit fussy, I guess you could say. I'm sure these guys are going to be just fine and not demonstrate that whatsoever.
For those who don't know, rabbits look all cute and fuzzy and cuddly, but they do have quite the set of claws on their feet, which in the wild obviously gives them traction.
So we're first going to start with how to pick up your bunny. Now these guys here are bigger and getting a little bit older, and I will admit are not as handled as a lot of our other rabbits are. So basically what I do, I kind of do the grab and swoop. Basically with my gloves on, I take a hand of the cuff, what do you call it, scruff, and I get a grip. I don't lift until I'm ready, and I just lift and get under him really, really fast. Basically they don't like to feel free floating, and especially on a rabbit this size, you know, you don't want to hold them by the scruff for too long. But he's actually being very good considering he hasn't had a lot of handling, aren't you? So this is one of our Champagne D'Argents. Actually, maybe that's where I should start, is sexing. So when we do sexing, I flip him onto his back, and I always rest his back down. They usually kind of hunker in pretty quiet. We call that sleepy pies. Anybody? And you're just going to push your thumb there to pull that little flap back and give a little push, and bada boom, bada bing, we've got a boy. So another thing that you want to be able to do on a regular basis with your rabbits is nail trimming. It's just a cat claw trimmer. When I do this, I need to have an ungloved hand, but I do leave my glove on the other hand, and basically I just kind of tuck him in and under his chin and take his paw in my hand, and as soon as, I don't know if you can zoom in to get that, as soon as I push him down on my hand, you can see his claws come out. I don't think they're like a cat. They don't really retract, but
they just kind of come out from underneath the fur, and they're not really
And then basically you just snip in there. You want to be careful. You don't want to go too far because you can draw blood. Right now I'm taking probably 1/8 of an inch or so off. You can see that. And you just go along easy like that. And they often have one up high here too, but I find I never need to trim that. I don't know if it just doesn't grow the same or what. I'm actually going to come back and trim this guy here just a little bit more because I didn't get that quite close enough. But it's that easy. Obviously, we have a breed of rabbit here that is quite quiet and docile, which is another nice thing about these rabbits when it comes to maintenance type stuff like nail trimming. So back leg, we're going to pull that out to the side here. This will work better. And there you can see the nails come out. He's not desperately in need yet, but he certainly was to that point that it's a good time to do it. You definitely, if you were putting him in with a girl, you would have wanted to have trimmed these nails ahead for breeding. But there, we just trim. That one he's actually kind of worn off on his own. Good boy. And last one there. And that's basically it.
And nail trimming is, it's not something you necessarily have to do with all of your rabbits. Most of the rabbits that you're sort of planning to butcher, you won't likely have to do this. This is more for your breeding stock.
All right, so I just want to also show another thing that you can do is check your bunny's teeth. So if I can get this guy just to tip back, let's see what you got here, sweetie. See, we've got nice, good front teeth on there. Hey, you're such a good boy. You just want to make sure that, you know, he doesn't have chips, cracks, funny shaping, or sorry, that was an abrupt flip, wasn't it?
Or crooked teeth.
Yeah, crooked, that's what I meant for
that can,
weird shaping, yeah.
Teeth are important in rabbits if they have sort of misshapen front teeth. That can lead to some other issues.
So another thing we want to touch on in this video is just some features that we look for in our meat rabbits, in our breeding stock basically, and how we choose our culls. Again, we're still working with the same bunny here because he is a beautiful specimen, but I'm going to get him to sit properly for us because he's kind of sprawled out here, quite relaxed and comfortable, right? But I'm going to get him to sit properly and then we'll just take a quick look. So come on, bud, you're going to have to...
And some of these traits, I mean, there's very breed specific things. This is just sort of general, what you want to look for in a meat rabbit.
The most important thing we look at is
loin.
With the hip, your loin, that's where the main meat is on your bunny. And you can see this guy is gorgeous and wide set.
He's got a nice wide butt back end.
And the other feature I personally think is quite important is length of body. We select for that more robust, compact body frame. We don't want the long hair-like body.
And that's actually something, again, not to go into, this has got nothing to do with showing, but if you look at the standards for the meat type rabbits, they all have this similar conformation, and there's specific little things about them, but which is exactly that compact sort of body frame. So that is something to keep in mind, to sort of look at what that ideal body conformation is, because it really does translate into the product, which in this case is the meat. When we're selecting, because we have sort of unrelated individuals and multiple lines and this, that, and whatever, we only compare rabbits from the same litter. So if we had a litter of, let's say, 5 bunnies, we would only be comparing those 5 to each other, because if we start comparing to other litters,
it's not a fair comparison. They don't have the genetics that are the same.
Yeah, it's not a fair comparison, and you're probably going to end up picking a couple out of one litter that you like better over having, you know, maybe one or both litters.
Our goal is sort of to improve each line, each genetic marker, or some marker each.
Yeah, you're kind of overall improving the herd rather than trying to do rapid a rapid change in body type, because like we said in the previous video with the rabbits, if you're raising rabbits for meat, you're breeding rabbits, and if you're breeding rabbits, it's worth thinking about some of this stuff.
Might as well breed the best rabbits.
Exactly. If you're breeding the best rabbits over time, everything just gets better.
Just out of curiosity now, we're going to weigh this boy and see where we're at. It'll give you an idea of what a champagne should be when he approaches the 5-month mark. We're up very high. I know, buddy. You're being such a good boy. Okay, in there we go. So, he is 8 pounds, 4 ounces, roughly. So for a 5-month-old guy, he is in fantastic condition. He will probably end up topping the 10-pound mark by the time he's fully mature. But from the perspective of our rabbitry, that is a fantastic specimen that is now going to stay in our breeding program. He's actually going to replace his dad. Yeah, that was kind of just a spur-of-the-moment decision, because this is the first time we've actually inspected him and weighed him.
He's put on a good performance for us.
And another thing for us in the selection process is temperament. And he has proven today, he's been flipped, he's been prodded, he's had his nails done, and he hasn't made one upset. So I think this little guy is going to get a name, and a tattoo number, and he's going to join our herd. So we are going to do a quick comparison here. These are sisters, same litter. One is a blue, one is one's a Dargent blue, one is a champagne, but otherwise, full sisters, same litter. I think you can probably see right off the bat the size difference between these two bunnies. We've got this one very narrow in comparison with her sister here. I mean, I'll see if I can separate them just enough that you can fully see that. Can you see it, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh, yeah.
Fluff their hair back down, make them presentable. But there you have. I mean, that hands down right there would be our choice between these two girls. This blue would be our selection for a potential keeper for breeding. But you can see the width of her hip or loin compared to this bunny is quite substantial. I haven't done a weigh-in. I'm going to quickly do that.
The bigger rabbit is tempting to use as your meat animal, but you're better off to eat the smaller one and keep the bigger one so that in the long term you end up with bigger rabbits.
So just interrupting for 1 second. So this bunny here, this girl, is 4 pound 12 ounces. So she's basically the 4 3/4. She's a little under the 5 pound, and she is at the age that I would like them to be 5 pounds already. So this one here, let's put her in. Hey girl, good girl. So this one here, we're over 5.5 pounds. She's getting to 5 pound 10 ounces. So beautiful specimen, great sizing for her age. Yeah, we're basically at butcher weight for keeping a nice fryer rabbit. This one may not be one of our butchers. We may decide to keep her. But definitely the other one here, another week or so, and this will be a cull animal for us. Anyways, so that pretty much wraps that one up. I know we've kind of covered a whole hodgepodge of things all over the place, but like we said, it was just a video that stuff didn't fit into anything else, and we still wanted to share that info because it was important.
That's kind of that. We've got one more video planned for this little series, and then that'll kind of wrap up our introduction to
our bunnies and raising rabbits.